Hey there, YouTube. We're jumping in. A little update on the Israeli-Palestine conflict. Tit for tat, Hamas doing exactly what the Bibi Netanyahu, coalition government wants, sending over useless rockets that do nothing except give the Israeli government the excuse they need to take more land and, kill more people and kick more people out of their homes. Force the Palestinian people into bizarre open-air prison. Some might call it a ghetto.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
I'm sorry, we can't talk about that. But anyway, that's what's happening. I mean, it's almost like it's almost like the Nutcracker to me, right? It's like this weird performance that I ritualistically see every year. I love to go to the Nutcracker every year on Christmas. It's like a big ritual for me. I love it. I love the performance. I love the whole show. Used to see it every year in San Francisco. We're going to have to find a good performance here in Vancouver. But anyway, I digress. And that's what I see with this, with these fights with Hamas and the Israeli government. It's like this weird yearly performance that I witness, where Hamas pretends that it's defending its people by shooting over, glorified bottle rockets that, can kill people, have killed people, rarely, and can cause fires and other property damage. It's probably not fair for me to call them fireworks, because these are like, it's like a military grenade attached to a, homemade mortar, like a pop bottle, like a soda bottle, like who knows, right? Just whatever they can scrape together. And then Israel retaliates with just, overwhelming force paid for by the United States government. And that's your tax dollars at work. IDF, and if it doesn't happen, if Hamas doesn't cause some violence, then we see what we saw here with Israel shooting journalists, doing raids during religious ceremonies, intentionally flushing out mosques, right? And then, riling up everybody. So this is, like I said, it feels like a macabre kind of fucking performance that I see almost every fucking year. And I'm sick of it. Can Hamas, is Hamas capable of anything other than rockets? And, and like, honestly, with the whole, like, Israel, like, doesn't exist shit, they do say it. Death to Israel. Can we stop giving Bibi Netanyahu every fucking propaganda tool he needs to destroy you? Uncle Sam doesn't have your back, Palestine. A good chunk of the West doesn't have your back, right? That's just a fact. We got to try something different here, man. I can't change these people's minds. There's the famous, logical, issue, because where people would be like, oh, I love peace, except for Palestine, right? There's that famous book. I think it's Except for Palestine or something like that. But there's this massive wall that pro-Palestine Westerners are up against, where it's like, oh yeah, peace is great, except for those Palestinian people who are getting subjugated by Israel. They basically deserve it. That's basically what you get. And Hamas firing over these rockets doesn't really help. It just doesn't help. I've never had a single motherfucker that says, oh, we should really stop messing with the Palestinians. They shoot rockets. Like, no one has that debate. No one's having that conversation. You know what I mean? Anyway, so let's get an update here. That's my rant about the whole situation. It's so depressing every fucking year with this almost.
Thank you for joining us. We begin this news hour with Israel continuing to launch airstrikes on Gaza, which has destroyed residential buildings in Khan Yunis.
I swear to God, I just have flashbacks to 2009 and like 2006. I mean, it's like deja vu, like actual deja vu. Just hearing her, that could have been easily, I could probably find footage where the exact same thing was said, in 2008, 2009, 2010. North Korea, what? What? Oh, that place that's just, it's a joke. It's a punchline more than anything.
States. There was a barrage of rocket fire from Palestinian factions towards Israel in the early hours of Thursday morning, which, after a brief pause, have continued in the past 2 hours. The latest attacks have killed at least 3 Palestinians, bringing the death toll to 27 in this recent escalation. Palestinian media say most of the victims are women and children. A funeral has been held in Gaza for a senior commander of the Islamic Jihad movement who was killed in last night's Israeli airstrikes. Ali Hassan Ghali was a member of the military council and head of the rocket unit in the Al-Quds brigades. Well, we have 3 correspondents across this story this hour. Mohammed Jamjoon is in West Jerusalem, and he'll tell us about...
Look at this motherfucking clown. You're... What the fuck are you doing, man? What are you all armored up for, homie? I am so tired of this. I am so tired of reporters throwing on the armor for absolutely no fucking reason. It's a little embarrassing. Am I wrong? Am I being overly critical? Maybe I'm being overly critical. I find this to be really clownish.
About the prospects of a ceasefire. Willem Marx is in the southern Israeli city of Ashkelon. But first we go to Yumna Al-Sayed, who's in Gaza City. Yumna, there have been new airstrikes on Gaza in the last hour.
Yes, Folly. Well, Israeli airstrikes haven't stopped actually taking part in different areas in Gaza. Again, most airstrikes are in the northern part and in the southern part, both in Khan Yunis and Rafah. In the northern part, in Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun. Now, these parts are very adjacent to the borders, in Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia. And so the Israeli airstrikes have continued to pound these areas for several hours this day.
The airstrikes, you say, have hit northern parts of Gaza. Gaza, of course, is a densely populated area, and despite...
Well, you can break it down to simple terms, Dion, but I mean, honestly, the solution is pretty goddamn complicated. Right? Because, like, the reason why the United States is helping Israel is all to do with Iran. It's got nothing to do with, the United States pledging fealty, all these politicians pledging fealty to Israel. It's got, the idea that the United States is the one that's, like, taking the orders from Israel. Not even close. Israel is a useful idiot in the United States' grand plan, when the military-industrial complex's grand plan. This goes all the way back to the goddamn Trilateral Commission. When it comes to Iran, this is part of Henry Kissinger's fucking plan. When it comes to Iran, that's what the fuck's going on here. I mean, this is deep, dude. This is 700 layers of this onion, man. I don't. Like, for me, the number one thing that could be the most effective, borders are the problem. Okay. The 1967 borders is what they should go back to. But no, in terms of actionable, what could someone do right now? If I could snap my fingers, the number one thing that I would do is that I would have an intervention with Hamas and all these other extremist groups and try to explain to them that the extremist violence just ain't cutting it in terms of a solution. But these guys are, just as Bibi Netanyahu and the fucking human centipede character that's he's formed a coalition government with. I can never remember his name. Ben something. It's the only solution a lot of these extremists know is violence. Right. And, they tie it up with religion and martyrdom and all this other nonsense. So, and I'm not trying to be racist, I guess some would say, or privileged or something like that. But Hamas is, the leadership of Hamas is made up of religious extremists. Am I fucking wrong? Is that racist for me to point out that obvious fact? Right. And the people that work with Hamas, they're religious extremists as well, I don't know, man. Ask Henry fucking Kissinger. This is his fucking mess right here.
Despite Israel saying that it's targeting Islamic Jihad positions, I imagine that civilians are also being targeted in these strikes.
It's true. I mean, with the airstrikes and the rockets that are falling in these different areas, there's always destruction and casualties falling from the civilians. Yes, these past hours, at least these past 2 hours, there hasn't been any casualties, but there have been damages in the civilians' homes. Also, before that, prior to that, one of the airstrikes in Beit Hanoun caused some injuries among citizens that were rushed to hospital.
The cycle continues.
Locals say that their injuries weren't serious injuries, but this is how it is. In a densely populated territory, every airstrike has a very significant effect on the residential homes and buildings here for the population.
Yumna, the funeral of Ali Ghali, the Islamic Jihad commander who was killed in last night's Israeli airstrikes, drew a lot of people.
Rocket specialist.
How are these killings? I mean, it's now the 4th Islamic Jihad member to be killed by Israel. How is it affecting the group, and how are they going to respond?
Well, yes, Folly. While right after the killing of Ali Ghali, there was a launching of rockets, just an instant launching of rockets. But then it has been a cautious calm. About a couple of hours ago, when he was buried, there was a resuming to the launching of rockets. But it was not like yesterday.
You know, like what could I say to this guy to be like, the rockets ain't working? You know, I mean, especially me, right? Imagine me and him in a room having a conversation, right? Some privileged pink Westerner, right? Lily white Westerner with soft pink hands, right? Yeah, bro. I don't know what to tell you, bro. As I'm smoking my weed, I don't know what to tell you, bro. The rockets ain't working. You know what I mean? What could I tell this guy? I feel very passionately that the rockets aren't working, but how do I convince this guy that that's the case?
To the launching of rockets, but it was not like yesterday. The launching by the Palestinian factions here, it has been very little, but many artillery shells have been fired towards the Kerem Abu Salim crossing from Israeli side, and so it has been on mortar shells mainly. But now Palestinian Islamic Jihad faction here in Gaza have stated that they are going to be responding to the assassination of Ali Ghali in particular. They said that they're in preparation and their response should not be delayed. So we're still expecting to witness more launching of rockets. We're expecting a certain amount and kind of retaliation for his killing.
Yumna, thank you very much for that update. Yumna Al-Sayed live there in Gaza City. Let's go to Willem Marks now, who's in Ashkelon near the border with Gaza in southern Israel. Tell us about what you've been seeing.
I swear to God, if I see one guy who is unarmored, like some farmer or something, walks by totally nonchalant, I'm going to flip my shit. Okay, I better see armed soldiers and armed vehicles, and you know what I mean? This guy better be on the front lines. RoboCop over here better be on the front lines. Something terrible happened with Russian aircrafts. Give me the link. Please make it a video, and I'll add it to the Ukraine segment.
And hearing on that side of the border, Willem.
Well, Folly, in the last 15 or 20 minutes, we've seen at least one attempted interception by the Iron Dome defense mechanism. The Israeli military operates just probably about a kilometer further behind us, seemingly therefore trying to intercept a rocket coming from Gaza. We've heard some much deeper boom sound.
I'm sorry to interrupt 1 second here.
We've seen at least one attempt.
Am I crazy? Or does this indicate that the armor isn't even put on properly, as if it's just been slung on like a vest? Wouldn't this be fastened to something if this was actually put on properly? I'm sorry, I'm being super overly critical here, but I'm pretty sure this guy just threw this shit on like a costume.
Attempted interception by the Iron Dome defense mechanism. The Israeli military operates just probably about a kilometer further behind us, seemingly therefore trying to intercept a rocket coming from Gaza. We've heard some much deeper booms sounding like artillery or potentially airstrikes slightly further down towards the coastline from here inside Gaza as well, one assumes. And here people remain on high alert. Early this morning we did see people outside, businesses were open, cafes, things like that, people walking the streets. There is still traffic on local roads, but there have been sirens sounding in smaller communities near here, as well as a few kilometers down south from here, the town of Sderot. So clearly these rockets being fired from Gaza are having an impact. The Israeli military talking about the potential, according to Israeli media, for reserves to be called up for recruitment around this area here in Gaza to try and strengthen what they call security coordination efforts. Folly.
Exactly.
Okay,
Can someone tell me what would be more effective propaganda-wise for Bibi Netanyahu? What would be more effective than rockets? Just a straight-up Antifada, maybe? More terrorism, suicide bombs? What does it take, man? What is it about this goddamn religious book that makes people flip their shit? I bet you if I read the Quran, nowhere would it say, you know, blow yourself up and fire shitty ass rockets. And, you know, honestly, like, I draw a blank at like how, I guess I'm going to go my entire life with this happening, this tit for tat, this grotesque theater, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, until Israel just completely annihilates Palestine, right? Until the project is complete. Yeah, the book is an excuse to do whatever they want. I'm just so tired of this, folks. I feel like I'm literally going to be covering this the rest of my life until Palestine is put in some kind of open-air prison ghetto.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
What can I fucking say?
Thank you for that update, Willem Marks, live
Rocket
in
the
Ashkelon.
infidels, is that what it says?
Mohammed Jamjoon is joining us now from West Jerusalem. Mohammed, we've heard talk, of course, about this possible ceasefire, but given the latest developments and these continued airstrikes on Gaza, it's difficult to see how this ceasefire is likely to happen anytime soon.
Well, Foley, it certainly does look as though, based on what we're seeing when it comes to rockets and attacks, it certainly doesn't look like a ceasefire is going to happen anytime soon. But there's a lot of complicated negotiations going on behind the scenes. The conventional wisdom here is that the Israeli government is still open to a ceasefire, that they are still talking to Egyptian mediators, but that there is a sticking point. The sticking point, we understand, is that Islamic Jihad wants a commitment from Israel that if there's to be a ceasefire, that the Israeli military will not target any more leaders of Islamic Jihad for assassination. Of course, over the course of the past 2 days, we've seen 4 top commanders of Islamic Jihad assassinated by Israel in the Gaza Strip. Israel is not willing to make that concession. Now, last we heard from the Prime Minister, from Benjamin Netanyahu, was last night. That was after he had a meeting, a situational assessment with the Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, as well as other members of his security cabinet. He came out, he made it clear that Israel was going to be the deciding party, whether it comes to escalation or de-escalation. So yes, it is certainly looking like a ceasefire might be further off than we had initially assumed last night.
Of course, no, he doesn't.
Based on
they don't want no fucking ceasefire. Hell no. They want this to get a little hotter.
Comments that are being made, a lot of them unnamed, but officials high up in the Israeli government to Israeli media, based on the comments that we're seeing, they do want a ceasefire to come into effect. It's just that it's very complicated because of the demands on both sides and
pretty sure they're looking for the remains of people or maybe some other kind of evidence. Not quite sure.
Right now, it's going to be crucial hours, the hours ahead as to whether there is further escalation, whether that widens, how many groups may be participating. But it does seem clear that Israel does want a ceasefire. It just, at this point, really, there's no way to tell when that might happen.
You know, I really feel like Al Jazeera, like, this is Is that what they want? Is that the analysis? Oh, Israel really wants a ceasefire. Really? I mean, I guess you can't just, bald-faced speculate like a jackass like I can, right? If you want to be Mr. Professional or whatever the fuck. But really, Israel definitely wants peace. They just don't know how they're going to get it there. Really? Really? Is that why they sniped the Israeli or the Palestinian journalist? Is that why they raided a mosque on like the most important holy day and one of the most important holiest of mosques? Israel definitely wants peace. Is that why they did all that? I don't know, man. I understand though, like when you're reporting on something, you can't do that. But I don't know, that statement at the end there, why are we framing it like that, right? Why are we letting Israel off the hook here?
But it does seem clear that Israel does want a ceasefire. It just, at this point, really there's no way to tell when that might happen.
Really though? You know what I mean? Really? Did they really? Because there seems to be a lot of political advantages to not having peace right now. This is Al Jazeera, right? So I don't think they have, they're not like, propagandizing for Israel here. But I don't know. I just feel like Israel has done a really good job of framing the argument in a very pro-Israel way. And it's
cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
It's all because of that. It's all because they've successfully weaponized, calling somebody an anti-Semite if you dare criticize the decisions of Israel. And I think they've done a really good job of that. Even on Al Jazeera, we're like, yeah, Israel definitely wants peace. Really? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the jackass. That's probably it. All right, there you go. That's my Palestinian update. On to our insurrection update, folks, and it's a juicy one. We got a lot of good stuff, so stay tuned.